Hey, welcome everybody to our weekly Land Effects webinar. We've got a great presentation in store for you today. We've got presenters Damian Knight, who I don't think many of you have heard from before, and our other presenter, of course, Jake Lott, which you are familiar with. They're going to go through the manufacturer connection, how to place your blocks and smart blocks into your drawing and spec them with ease. This will apply to both site and hardscape design as well as irrigation design. So there's going to be something for everyone here. Please note that we do record each webinar and we post them the very same afternoon. So if you've missed this one or if you have to leave real quick, you can always catch up. It'll be on the videos section of our website later today. We use this platform called zoom.us for our webinars. Sometimes it opens full screen by default and it's a bit bothersome. So you should be able to find on the top right of your screen a little option to disable the full screen mode. And you'll also see on the top left a couple of options for chat and Q&A buttons. We do actively monitor the Q&A section for questions, and the chat is just that, for chatting. But if you have a pertinent question, please use the Q&A section and you'll get a response. So without further ado, I'll pass the mic over to Mr. Damian Knight.
Which he's already said. You definitely haven't heard my voice before unless we've chatted on the phone, but first webinar and pretty excited about it. So thanks for joining us. Just a little bit on myself. I'm Australian, born and bred. I moved to California last year after spending 6 months at Cal Poly in the previous year, and loved it so much I had to come back. But I'm part of the manufacturers and content team here, and I do quite a lot of work with Jake, which is why we are tag teaming this webinar this morning. And Jake, you have definitely heard time and time again, he's our webinar and educational video vet, and yeah, some of his credentials just listed on the screen there. So we're going to jump right into it and go through our outline really quick first. And we're going to jump quickly into a user perspective on how to choose a manufacturer and product. Jake's going to run you through that. Then we're going to have a look at a bit of a behind the scenes view on the work that we do in order to get all of the data and information into our CAD database. And then we are going to finish off with some questions. Hopefully there won't be too many, but we never know. And yeah, we are going to run. Yeah, we're going to jump back real quick. Here with Jake.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
All right, cool. Sounds good. Thank you very much and welcome, guys. Like Damian said, we're going to do a quick little demo here just on the user's perspective of being able to go through the actual manufacturer's side of things. So first and foremost, got to remind everybody, if there are questions, definitely feel free to ask those in the Q&A so that I can answer them as we go through this. So we've got our ref note manager up here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a new ref note. And if we add an amenity, you're going to see a nice little dialog box pop up here. And this is going to list all of our manufacturer stuff. And you're going to notice there's a little line here, and there's going to be some continuing manufacturer names down underneath. Now, what you'll realize is anything above that line is actual live manufacturers that are supporting in our system, and anything down below is going to be stuff that we don't quite have yet but would love to have it. Might be something that you want. So being able to click on these guys and be able to recommend that we get them into the system is something that you can do, putting your name and address, email address, submit that to us, we can then start making that contact with this manufacturer in order to do that. So, but if we look into the list here, being able to sift through whether it's benches or play structure stuff, you're going to notice that this list starts to filter itself, and whatever the manufacturer actually has listed into the program here, they will be available to choose. So being able to pick what you want to, being able to go down to a manufacturer that you would like, and to see different types of items that they actually have in the system. And from here, looking through their series and being able to choose from a specific series and then see the actual models within that series. Now, as we go through this, we're going to obviously dive deeper into it, later down the line here. But basically speaking, having the model, the description, what's going to show up into the schedule, being able to click for more info and have you get pushed right over to their website is a really, really strong feature to be able to, handle all those right within one location. But then adding it to the project, being able to see that it fills out your notes you can edit this however you want to, being able to set a division, whether it's CSI or just simply by one of these divisions here, and being able to choose how this is set up. This is all really important information, because this is kind of, as you go ahead and do a few things down the line, you're going to see all these different results here. So being able to pick the type of call out and just say okay for that. Now you're going to notice that he's added to the list, and we'll go ahead and we'll add 2 more things just to get a little bit more variety here. So we added a bench. We'll go ahead and we'll add another table. We'll just grab one of these guys here. You'll see that, again, we got a nice preview, being able to pick those things and choose the different call outs. So if you wanted to line things out based on different categories of things, you can call them out separately or identify them separately. And then we'll add one more thing here. We'll just add a bike rack. Why not here? So again, sifting through the list here, you'll see what kind of items that they have available to choose here. So let's see here. I want to pick my favorite, which is, I forgot which one was my favorite. But you're going to see that I have all of these different options here to choose from here. So why don't we go ahead and we'll pick just this 9 set capacity bike rack here, and we'll just add him to the list. So once I get all of these added here, and like I said, we're going to go into this a little bit further down the line, but it might not look like we just did a lot, but what we already have for this, if I go ahead and place him into the drawing here, is the ability to place a block without needing to create or set the block parameters or anything like that. It comes in as it is for that manufacturer. So being able to place this guy into the system, we'll go ahead and place this bike rack even in here just like that, and we'll even place our bench, and we'll put one right there. We might as well put a couple over here, maybe along the sidewalk. If it didn't snap to the line there. So go ahead and put him on the sidewalk, just like that. Now what's really neat is obviously combined with a bunch of our other tools, it makes it really, really easy to take that bench, put it, let's say 20 feet apart, and be able to just drag that guy down the line. So really, really fast ways of actually placing these blocks as well. So that covers placing a couple of those items, but when we look into it and have the ability to just simply call this item out and call this item out without changing anything, you're going to notice that based on the item that we put, it's going to give us that specific call out, that specific number that relates right to that item. Now, what's cool about this as well is not only do we have the blocks tied to each other, but we also have the ability to, when we're in here, we can edit this block or this component here, and you're going to notice that I've got the ability to set a detail. And with regards to setting this detail, I already have one added to my project, but what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and say new, just so we can look at this, is based on whether or not the manufacturer is supporting with the detail side of things. They will have the corresponding details that go to that specific item, which is really, really neat. So you're going to notice here, if I look at my little preview, that I've got this bench that I can put in that relates exactly to that equipment that I want to add. So being able to set that detail here, we'll pick this guy here and say, okay, now he's related to that item. So when I go ahead and even look into my sheet layout here, we've already placed him, but we're going to actually run a little schedule. And to be able to set and include, depending on the divisions and different things like this, we're just going to go ahead and say okay to this. And you're going to notice that it's already counted up how many of each of my items that I have for those manufacturers. And you're going to notice that it's also going to list out what that detail and what sheet that's on, which is really, really powerful as we get into those construction drawings and stuff like that. So with that being said, we have one last little tie-in as this demo is concerned, and that's sending things over to SketchUp. And again, the really, really powerful thing here is that we can actually take all of these items that we've just added to the project, not have to worry about our CAD block, but we can also go ahead and we can send this design over to SketchUp. And all things considered, obviously we need to have a drawing set up and tied, which is not going to be covered in this webinar, but assuming we've set everything up properly, we can go ahead and we can import that design here. So once we let this thing sort of chug through here, add the proper equipment that we've got added to the list, you're going to notice that it's placed things in the exact location that they were in AutoCAD, which is really, really neat. So you'll notice even it dropped this bike rack under this structure, which is really cool that it has that kind of ability. So placing maybe certain bike racks or certain objects within inner courtyards or within little room sets like this, it always will be placed right where it needed to be. And again, placing our benches where they go as well. So that's a quick tie back and forth. We can obviously make changes here just as it concerns maybe your new layout, and send that back over to AutoCAD. And what you'll find is that if we go right over here, and we're just going to move him for purposes for this right here, and we'll just go ahead and import that design. And he's moved right where he was in SketchUp. So having an accurate plan in both SketchUp and in AutoCAD is really, really important for that matter. So we're going to bump right back over here and let Damien take over for a sec.
Thanks for that, Jake. So after a pretty cool user demo we just sort of want to, hold up and take a second to take a step back and explain, I guess, a bit of the work that actually goes behind, getting all of that data and all of that information set and ready for you guys to use. So we are just going to move forward when the slideshow catches up. There we go. So we're going to start with the research, product research that we do behind the scenes. So we go and look through manufacturers' catalogs, whether they be online or hard copy that they send us. We navigate the websites to find the specific products, and then we typically utilize the cut sheets or the specification sheets ongoing for when there's data that we need to change or refer to. So I'm just going to show you, I guess, a little example of that bench that Jake placed in AutoCAD and SketchUp. So that was a Maglen bench. So we obviously have to navigate to the Maglen bench category page, which you can see there's quite an extensive list of benches that they have. We then go and find the bench that we place, which is the MLB 970 series. And within that series, we wanted to look for the model with the wood materiality. So it's the MLB 970W. So you can see that there's quite a work process that goes behind finding all the information for every product that we put into the database. So the work that we do on the data entry side of things, once we've found all the information, is pretty extensive as well. So we compile all of that data, and then that data is actually linked into the CAD database, which you would have seen in Jake's demo. So what I'm going to do really quick is take you guys behind the scenes and show you just a small chunk of that process that that we go through. So this is our site amenities admin page. We have a section for plants, lighting, and irrigation manufacturers as well, but we're going to stick within the site amenities category just for this particular webinar. And you can see that, again, we've got a lot of manufacturers listed that we have information for. Not all of these guys are live, but this is just sort of our entire database. So we're looking at Maglen. We've got their site furnishings category, which we want to find their bench seats in. And you can see, again, that whole list of benches that they have to choose from. It's pretty extensive. So we want to find that MLB 970 series. And as you can see, within that series, there are 3 models, and the one that we are looking for is this one right here. So this is what we typically add all of our data into. We have the model name, the description, and the web link. So again, it's really important to make sure that this web link is live and connected and working, because this is what provides you guys a connection to their website while you're working in CAD if you want more info. So I'm just gonna open that one up real quick, and you can see that it's the same page that Jake referred to in his demo. And so, yeah, we've got the thumbnail that we like to give you guys viewing of during that process. And yeah, I mean, if there's any updates that, need to happen down the track, this is typically where we come in and do that work. And again, it's all linked to the live site, the live database. So any changes that we make in there are, automatically updated immediately into the database. So now that I've done that, I'm just going to go back to the slideshow and let Jake take back over and show you guys a little bit more.
Great. So this next section here is all about the content creation. And that content creation, we do focus on 3 main sections. And that would be our CAD block. That would be our detail that could be related to that item, and then a correlating SketchUp component. And the reason for that is we do want a seamless and a continual workflow for you. When you add a product, you should have that CAD block already made. You should already have a 3D model of that item as well, and then a detail that actually correlates to that. So having said that, looking at a side-by-side comparison of the work that we actually put into making one of those blocks. And what we're going to go through is somewhat of a still shot of a model space versus paper space of a block here. For this example, we do, and I guess I should preface this too with, not all manufacturers have single blocks for their items. It is very heavily focused on the detail side of things, but they don't necessarily have the need for a single standalone block, so they don't have them. So a lot of times we actually have to create them from scratch. So this example is something of just that, where we have to take what we're given, which is something like this, which is a detail drawn in CAD, and you can look down here in the bottom corner here and see how these lines are made up of, or how this drawing is made up. And again, depending on how it was created, there's going to be all kinds of stuff in it. And depending on what's in it, it's going to be a really big file. This size isn't terrible, but it's also big for what we need it for. And it's got too much data for what we need it for as well. So what we take into consideration when we do go through cleaning up, whether it's cleaning up an existing block that we have or creating a new one, these are some of the things that we actually kind of abide by and make sure that we check off the list so that we have a really nice end result. So after following some of these items here, you're going to notice that this is the result. And the result is only, for this example, 22 polylines. That's it. And the file size is definitely smaller than the before. And so what does that relate to on the printing side? Obviously, depending on how the line weights are set, what your CTP files are like, this could be the result. Something that's a little bit murky, a little too thick for legibility purposes. But on the flip side, if we're going to look at that after, having those proper line weights, having the proper layers and lines on those layers to create a block that is as legible as it is, because you got to remember, these are going to be really small on paper. When they're actually in the plan, they're not big, so having extra line work in there is not always the best thing for those blocks, just from an aesthetics and a legibility standpoint. So looking at a detail, ironically enough, this is the same detail, so we're sort of looking at it the same, but now we're looking at it at a detail standpoint. And how can we improve and make we'll just say improve it, because obviously these details will work just fine, but how can we enhance that so that it's easier for the user to put into their drawing, and how easy is it going to be for the contractor? So this before, obviously it's given us our dimensions and stuff, but it doesn't give a lot more information at this point in time, where we try to pull and create something that's going to be a little bit easier to understand once it's placed on a sheet set there. So we pulled this information from a different cut sheet that was provided to us, but combining it into one and consolidating into something that is going to be a lot easier to use. And then obviously, in turn, putting that into our system that you can just simply pick from and assign, just like we showed in that demo. So again, even looking at the file size difference here, we're always trying to make sure that we have a more simplified version so that it's not taking up a ton of time. Our blocks are done cloud-based and they do pull down on the fly, so being able to minimize that file size is going to just speed things up. So and then obviously in turn, same thing with paper space. What is that going to actually relate to? And having those proper things set up, you're going to notice that things are going to be much clearer, much easier to do, less work to do on the back end once you're using these things. So these ones are coming into some of my favorites here, and being able to show the difference between these SketchUp components. This is a huge thing, and we have a great SketchUp design guy who creates a lot of our stuff, and he put this thing together for us, and it is pretty insane once you start getting into, and if you're familiar with SketchUp or 3D modeling at all, the differences that we show here, having that before size of almost 100 megabytes for that one block versus a cleaned up version of only 291 kilobytes is an astronomical difference there. And so being able to set something up that will be more functional is only going to help your SketchUp files, and those who do use SketchUp obviously this is a big concern once you start building that 3D model, that 3D site, that it's just slowing down your computer, and it's all because of the lines. It's all because of the faces and the edges. The fact that we have over 1 million edges in this guy and only 7,000 in this guy is a huge, huge difference. And then let alone just the faces. So we'll show one more example here of a 3D model bench. And again, the file size difference is very, very night and day here on those items. So these are the types of things that we take into consideration when we are putting these things together for the manufacturer, for our blocks, so that you have kind of the best experience possible for that. So when it comes to that uploading, that review process, those comparison things, we're going to show you just a little bit of a live thing here in just a sec about how we kind of look at those blocks and then how to test that block. But when it comes to getting everything in there and we've reviewed it, we go to the next step, which is we demonstrate that with the manufacturer. We get them on the phone, on the computer, and show them exactly what's going on. Let them review the stuff. Let them ask questions. You know, it's all about making sure that we represent their products properly, and to have that review time with them is really, really crucial to make sure that you know, once it gets into the designer's hands, that it's being displayed properly. So we'll go ahead and let you be creative in how we're going to show this next slide here. But we're going to jump over to our SketchUp files. So I'm going to pull these two up just as a quick comparison. We've got this guy on the left here, and he is the before here. And I've turned on the hidden geometry just so you get a sense of how many faces are throughout this this model versus how many are through this guy. But what you can notice here, and this is where visually seeing this is pretty powerful here, but you're going to notice that all of these are built separately. And I can click on any of these. These aren't grouped at all. And, this isn't something that we've sort of mocked up or created to show drastic measures here, but the actual insertion point, the axis of this guy, how it's not even sitting on the point. These items are built for reference, and you can put it into your model. But what's not considered all the time is how it can be linked together like we showed in that first demo. So we need to make sure that ours is at the proper insertion point at 0, 0, and that has sort of that proper setup. Now, when I click on a few things in this guy, you're going to notice that he's a component. And as we go into this component, you're going to notice that they're all individual. So being able to pull these guys off for adjustments or any types of tweaks is so much easier when it's built, we'll call properly. Didn't mean to save it, meant to undo. But what you'll notice is the reason that we can shrink down our file size so much is when you go into one of these components, you're going to notice that that component is actually being replicated throughout all of these other components. And so he is essentially the same component. That's only one component, but it's being reused in a way to where any modifications of that component inside that area happen at the same time, which is really, really neat to be able to make that kind of adjustments, even going into one of these guys. And we'll just put a little metal color here, but being able to color an entire item here and only have to color one of them and everything else colors. So that is the power of the way that we create those things so that they are set up right. So we'll close those guys, show you a couple more little examples. Now, Amanda, are there any questions that we can handle right now, or are we good?
Yeah, we have a few questions. So the first one was just asking again about the process of selecting manufacturers through land effects. And I did want to say on that one, just a quick note that this webinar will be recorded and posted later this afternoon. You'll be able to see it there. Jake did cover that at the beginning of the webinar. And also if you want to go further into the process, basically it goes into reference notes. We do have another webinar already recorded that goes deeper into that reference notes section, and that's our site tools. So I recommend that one as well. I had a few other questions, but basically, let's see. You were kind of demonstrating color right there. Is it possible to use the land effects tools to color the blocks in 2D as well for plans?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I can say the color for the SketchUp components. You'll notice that most of our stuff will be either pure white or sometimes matched to a generic or typical color palette of that manufacturer. We are actually going to be improving. We have future plans of enhancing this to have the ability to choose the colors in the AutoCAD side and have that relate and change automatically to the component that you have in SketchUp. So those are pending items, but I'll definitely show the color side over here is pretty neat. Most of our blocks, again, we talk about that 2D block that's created. Well, we actually have a site color tool, and that site color tool actually will turn on because we do color these as we create them. So all of our site color or site blocks do have color to them, but you're going to notice that they come pre-colored. And to be able to have that that color automatically, again, you can take these and color them how you want to, but they are matching that manufactured spec color to a degree. So those are actually already colored, so you can have a colored plan.
Great. And also, is there abilities to kind of link this to a cost estimate? Like, are these prices linked to the manufacturer in any way?
So manufacturer retail price obviously may or may not differ depending. So we've been sort of told through several different manufacturers that they prefer not to have a set price in them because they are so dynamic in a lot of ways, whether it's the finish that you get and stuff like that. So we do leave off the prices. However, you can go into any of these items and there is the ability to have a cost input for these that does roll into a final sort of a rough cost estimate when you do the schedule. So you can put a cost, whether that's your cost, whether that's the cost of the client, but it is available here whether or not you decide to use it, and recognize that on the schedule is where that would include cost there. So being able to put that would put that into a column, let you put that into a schedule and see what that total is for that type of equipment. So yeah, that's great. I'm going to bump over here really quick and let's just finish out our little demos on this guy. Benches and different things like that are some of my favorites to look and compare, because you're going to notice this before guy, he's got all kinds of different hidden geometry, whether it's on this flat stuff. A lot of times these models are built in a different program and just generated as a SketchUp model. So it does take a little bit of cleaning up to make it look like this. But what's neat about this is, again, going to the component cleanup side of things. You're going to notice that this is actually split directly in half. And the benefit of that is anything in this half gets handled in the other half. So we literally only have to make half of a bench and build it out, and you're going to see that he is a direct mirrored image of that item. So any modifications that we have to do really makes it a lot slicker, a lot cleaner to again, whether it's coloring this thing or what have you, it'll do it in the other one automatically, so that you can only have to color half as much or only have to adjust half as much. So again, that's how we can keep our file sizes small. That's how we can eliminate a lot of that line work and stuff like that. So we're gonna close those out. And I'm going to show you our last little, again, what our review process is. This is, again, going back to creating those blocks, just a block that we created for something for Thomas Steele. And it's one of their tables. And to be able to ensure that we have, the right dimensions of this table, our layers are actually layered properly. Again, making sure that all of our stuff is on an appropriate layer to be able to function that stuff. That's our site color layer that we can manage through our site color tool. But to have that kind of ability, making sure our insertion point is proper, our units are set proper, that it's drawn to spec. To have that ability, and then to likewise have that same table built in SketchUp, having the same insertion point. Really, really key information there. And again, if something does end up shifted as you do your transition or your SketchUp connection there, make sure that the insertion points are proper on those items, on those source blocks. And if not, we can correct it, get it uploaded, and fix it for you. But That being said, there's one other real key piece of information, and that would be the naming of these things. The reason that these can be tied together is because they actually are named the exact same, but obviously in SketchUp format or DWG format. So having that naming structure is super important. So we're going to bump over to upload that guy. So you'll notice that I'm back into where Damien was showing for that Maglin deal. But we're here in Thomas Steele under this table, and we have the ability to add a DWG file and a SketchUp component file here. So I'm just basically going to go choose that file. We're going to navigate to where I saved it. So again, making sure that I'm on DWG, that I inserted DWG as that item, and you'll notice that I've named these proper. The image that you see was also named just like these guys, but as a JPEG. So all three will correlate to each other. We'll just go ahead and open him up, and I'll just say okay for now. And then I'm just going to go right back into him just so you can see. You'll see now he's linked, and this link is how we know that there is a file associated to this guy. And at any given point, we can just go ahead and download him to make sure that he is the proper file. And of course, it'll look just like the one that we had, which is great. But we're going to go ahead and add one SketchUp component and add him in there, and we'll say okay. So once I've added him to the system, like Damien said, this is live stuff. So I can simply go back over to CAD. I'll go over to my plan, and we're going to add a new item here. We'll go Amenity. We'll go find Thomas Steele. We'll go to that table. There he is. Again, if I need to, I can go to more info. That more info is going to take us right over to the website. Make sure we have the right stuff there. But we're just going to say okay. And we'll say okay. We'll go ahead and add him into the system, and you'll notice that there he is. He's already predefined. He's got his color turned on because we've turned that site color on and off there. But again, we have that full ability to put him into the system. His insertion point placed just right. And let's go ahead and send this guy over to SketchUp just so we can confirm. So this is the kind of testing that we do on a per piece of equipment basis. We place one of these guys, and we'll typically do the whole series and the whole models, place one at a time, go back over to SketchUp and run that connection and make sure that that piece of equipment comes in right where it should be. And so once we do that, boom, there he is. He's got those three right where they're supposed to be. And we can call him good. We upload those up. We review that with the manufacturer and kind of give them that demo, and we're flying. So I believe, Damien, we're going to go ahead and get you back over here.
Thanks for that, Jake. So yeah, after a pretty thorough process behind getting all the products in and set and right, once all of that is done and pretty well finalized, we find it really important to chat to the manufacturers and then make sure that they're happy. And then what we do is write up a small newsletter release and corresponding online news article that will look something like this. Again, using Maglin as that example. We want to make sure that our users know that these products are available and ready to use. So, like you said, the newsletter goes out weekly, and typically the online article is published the same day or the day after. So we try and make sure that the stuff is, I guess, advertised as quickly as possible. So what we do is typically run an article for new manufacturers. So Maglin, I don't know if anyone is has seen the most recent newsletter. We had Maglin featured in that, and this will be that same article. So what we do is mention a little bit about Maglin and maybe a couple of key best-selling products that we have added, along with an image or two, just so you get a cool little insight as to what they're all about. So that's typically what they look like online, and in our e-newsletter, our email format. We also run articles for our existing manufacturers who may have like an update to an existing product, maybe a discontinued product that they want to have removed, just so they don't keep getting asked about it, I suppose. So we really try and bridge the gap between the user and the manufacturer, just so that everyone is aware of the most recent products, the most recent data. We try and facilitate that relationship. Oh, hold on a second. So we also try and link these articles with an existing educational content video. For this particular article, we linked it to our site amenities educational video, which just is basically a shortened down version of how to select a site manufacturer and place their product in LandFX. So we always try and link something like that to each article, just to enable the users to find and place and utilize the features while they're specifying this product. So that's typically the last thing that we do in terms of a singular workload. But just to sort of summarize the comparison of before and after the work that we do, most of the files and the data that we get before products go into LandFX typically hold the characteristics that are listed on the left. So they're not exactly optimized line weights. They're individual model components in relation to what Jake was sort of showing you with the SketchUp stuff, and they can have quite a large file size. So all the work we do is to provide an improved CAD standard, and so we clean them up, we optimize the line weights, and overall have something that's a smaller file size. And I mean, summarizing this whole sort of webinar, how the manufacturer connection works, it's kind of a process that has been nurtured and really emphasized by us at LandFX, and providing a single place for designers to do a lot of the detailed design work, so you don't have to go in and out of one program and into 3 others, or having to navigate every single manufacturer's website just to find the smallest piece of information that could or could not be crucial to the functionality of your actual design. So we just wanted to sort of show that we don't just aim for a fast and efficient workflow, but we also want you guys to be able to trust, put your trust in us to provide a high level of accuracy that is needed for that detailed design work. So yeah, it's the all-in-one database. It's the up-to-date products, the accurate data, and it all comes down to it. So I think, yeah, that's all that we had listed for this webinar. But we want to open it up to any further questions. Amanda, have you got anything on the line for us?
Yep, we have one more, unless anybody sneaks in a last question up in the Q&A box. But Doug was asking, how does LandFX pick manufacturers to create the blocks, the details, model components, and if he has a local manufacturer that he wants to add, will we add them?
So that's a great question. And, to answer it in a nutshell, or an overview answer here is it's all recommended by users. Anything that we have, people are asking, can we add this? Can we add them? We also are contacted by specific manufacturers, hearing from their clients that, they don't see us in LandFX. And so can you add us? So it is a two-way street there. Now, it is depending on what kind of manufacturer we're talking about, how many products they have, how big they are. It is a paid service that the manufacturers do partner with us. And so if they're not willing to participate in that side of things, we do focus our efforts with the people who value that service. And so we will work with them on that a little bit, but it is a paid service. So if you have somebody that you would love in there and you have a contact at that specific manufacturer that we can talk to, that I'll just jump right over there then. Whether or not you find them in adding, let's see here, go ahead and just go through this. And to be able to see them in this list, if they're not here, to be able just to shoot us an email and say, hey, look, we want these guys in there. We'll do the research. We'll find out, who they are, what they're about. We'll add them into the list and start that conversation with them, start that partnership with them. So I think that would answer it pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that would be all the questions that we had today.
Great. Oh, I think it's good that we ended 7 minutes fast so that we can get on with our Friday, guys. So if there's anything else, feel free to drop us a line at support@landfx.com. We'll definitely reach back out to you. And have you guys a lovely weekend.